under the lights, it's going to be the number 9 Tennessee Volunteers going into Columbus, Ohio to face off against the 8th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State, a touchdown favorite at home Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff on the mothership. That is ABC and ESPN. Now, we're going to talk about offense against defense and run game and against run defense and passing. We're going to break down all of that stuff when it comes to this matchup between the Scarlet and Gray of Ohio State and the Orange and White of Tennessee. But where my eyes really drift to is between the ears. The last time that we saw this Ohio State Buckeyes team on a college football field is when they were suffering maybe the biggest upset of the season, when the Michigan Wolverines went into Columbus, Ohio and beat Ohio State 13-10, where Chip Kelly was Mr. Stubborn, and he kept on running the football at the strength of the Michigan defense right up front against those defensive tackles. And there has been a lot of feedback, let's just say, given to Ryan Day and this Ohio State football program. Where is this team mentally? Has Ryan Day had enough time to get this team refocused? I think we're going to find out fairly early on in this matchup what kind of a job Ryan Day has done to get Ohio State past that loss against the Michigan Wolverines and ready for a really good, also 10-2 Tennessee Volunteers football team. Like, here's the thing, and everybody's heard it, right? Whether you're a fan of the Oregon Ducks or the Indiana Hoosiers, the Northwestern Wildcats, like everybody in the Big Ten has heard it. What the fan reaction has been, everybody saying, fire Ryan Day and do this and do that. Like, we all know where the fan base of the Scarlet and Gray sits. So I think the worst thing that could happen in this game for Ohio State is they go 3-and-out on the first series. Tennessee goes all the way down into the end zone and scores a touchdown. Because now this perceived advantage of 100,000 plus, that's already kind of on edge as a fan base. All of a sudden, maybe it starts to work a little bit against you. So you want to be able to start out strong, which we'll get to certainly in just a little bit. You want to certainly get that crowd on your side. But just how much confidence does this coaching staff have in this personnel for Ohio State to be able to go out there? We're going to find out, I think, very early in this game. And another thing we know about Ohio State, before that game against Michigan, you get maize and blue, you get the winged helmet, you get that all out of your head. What do we know about Ohio State? They're a national championship caliber football team when they are right. When they are playing their best, when they are playing right, Ohio State is as good as it gets. Their only loss outside of Michigan, a 1-point loss to the number 1 team in the country, the only undefeated team in the country, the Oregon Ducks. So this is a great football team. We know that. They just need to get their head right for this game against the Tennessee Volunteers. Okay, so this is Big Ten Ted. This is not SEC Steve. So you might not follow the Tennessee Volunteers every single week, every single game. So you might look at Tennessee and be like, oh yeah, Josh Heupel, he's the head coach. Yeah, I remember back a couple of years ago when they were slinging the ball up and down the field with Hendon Hooker. I remember a couple of years ago when they carried the goalposts out of Neyland Stadium and dumped it in the Tennessee River. Yeah, I remember that. Man, that team was explosive. Man, that team could certainly get up and down the field. Now, this Tennessee team can hit those types of plays at times with Nico Iamaleava, but this offense, from a passing perspective, does not have the numbers that offense does. What Tennessee really leans into as a football team is a lot like kind of a Big Ten type of mindset. Run game and defense. That's where things really start with the Tennessee Volunteers. Let's start first with that run game, man. Now, I've been talking about all season, hey, the best running back in college football, not named Ashton Genty, is Caleb Johnson of Iowa. Well, Dylan Sampson certainly deserves to be in that conversation as well. He powers the Power Four's top rushing offense right now. Nearly 1,500 yards rushing this season, 22 touchdowns. He leads the Southeastern Conference in both of those categories as well. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup because we know that Tennessee is going to look to run the football. They're going to look to establish that, to open some things up with Nico Iamaleava throwing the ball down the field to some of those good receivers down the field. Guys like Dante Thornton, Brew McCoy, and Squirrel White on the outside for the ball. So look, you got Tylik Williams up the middle. You got Ty Hamilton up the middle. We know about those great players certainly coming off the edge if they want to do some off-tackle stuff. We know that Ohio State has a good linebacker unit. Like, we know Ohio State is just a really good, really sound defensive football team. Someone like Caleb Downs, I think, is a guy that can take the right angle, and when Tennessee tries to bounce it to the outside and rush to the perimeter, he's the guy that can get there in a split second to be able to make the tackle and avoid a big-time gain certainly going down the field. But here's, I think, the thing that Jim Knowles and Ohio State certainly has to be aware of, right? If you're bringing extra resources up to the line of scrimmage, there have been teams against Ohio State. You saw it certainly in that Oregon game where they were attacking Denzel Burke. They were attacking Davis Igbinosun. Look at that Indiana game early. They were attacking Igbinosun because he was one of the most penalized corners in the entire country. If Josh Heupel and this Tennessee offensive coaching staff sees them kind of coming up to the line of scrimmage, is that going to be an opportunity where Tennessee is going to look to make plays over the top? So you got to be great in coverage as well as being able to dedicate resources up to the run game. But this season, when you've been able to at least contain Tennessee from a run game perspective, teams have had a pretty good outing against this Tennessee Volunteers football team. But it's not just the run game, folks. It's that defense. And I think this is where things get really, really interesting in this matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Tennessee's defense is fourth in the country in total defense. Ohio State is first, by the way. So these are two of the top four total defenses in all of college football. Could have a fairly lower scoring game in this matchup. Tennessee is eighth in the country against the run. I think that this Tennessee defensive line, I think this Tennessee defense as a whole presents a interesting, dare I say, difficult matchup for an Ohio State offensive line that is down two of their starters, right? One of the top centers in the country, of course, in Seth McLaughlin. Josh Simmons was out in the middle of the season over there at left tackle. Just how well are they going to be able to run the football in this game? If I'm Chip Kelly, I want to get Will Howard involved in some design QB run stuff. I want to get diverse in the type of run packages that I'm certainly going out there as well. But here's the thing. Like, we know that game, what Chip Kelly did against Michigan. Like, Chip, if something isn't working, go to something else. I got a feeling that Ohio State is maybe going to lean into their pass game, try to create some explosive plays down the field to, we know the suspects, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. Carnell Tate has certainly come on a little bit more as of late here later on during the season. So I think that's what we want to get to for the Ohio State Buckeyes in this game. But nothing's going to be easy for Ohio State. Nothing's going to be easy for the Tennessee Volunteers as well during this game. I think that this could be a cold weather type of slugfest between two teams that like to run the football and two teams that play really, really good defense. Now, for Ohio State, I kind of touched on this before. I want to go into a little bit more detail here. Play confident, start fast, attack Tennessee. I thought from a play calling perspective and just the overall maybe body language of the team, they were passive in that game against the Michigan Wolverines. They did not grab out there and take the game. I mentioned the momentum that they have to create early in this game to get the crowd behind them early on in this matchup. So if I'm Chip Kelly, I want to attack. I want to attack. Whether that's hitting big plays and stretching the ball down the field, whether that's running the ball inside, whether it's running the ball outside, whatever it is, whatever the defense allows you to do, I want to be able to attack. And if on defense, I want to attack Nico Iamaleava. If I can contain Dylan Sampson in the early downs running the football, I want to put pressure on Nico. I want to have these 100,000 Ohio State maniacs behind me. and I want to get pressure on a young quarterback in a hostile environment, you got to make it tough for Nico in this specific game if Ohio State wants to come out with a victory. And you need, like, this coaching staff needs to have faith. I feel like they didn't have faith in Will Howard. It's almost like when he threw those interceptions against Michigan, they kind of shut him down. They shut him down in that game, and they didn't have confidence, and they didn't have faith in him. So they need to have confidence. He's an experienced quarterback. Let Will Howard do his thing. Get the ball to your playmakers. All right, folks, it is prediction time in this one. I don't think that this one is going to be ultra high scoring. It's got a slugfest kind of feel to it. In the end, I've got Ohio State coming out with a 3-point victory. Buckeyes 23, Volunteers 20. Notice the thing in both of these scores, field goals. I've got Tennessee kicking 2 field goals. I've got Ohio State, 3 field goals. Ohio State is a great red zone defense. I think for Tennessee to get points on the board, they're going to have to hit explosive plays. Once you get inside the 20, ask Nebraska, ask Penn State how easy it is to score in the red zone, because it's not. It's not. And I think the same goes for Ohio State going against Tennessee. I think they need to get explosive plays. It gets tougher the closer you get to against the goal line against a really good defense. But I've got the Buckeyes coming out with a first-round home playoff win and advancing to the Rose Bowl in an Ohio State-Oregon rematch from October 12th.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.